beast, discussing the heat of the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Rockin' with beast, discussing the heat of the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat of the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat of the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Vitamin G. Vitamin G. Got what you need.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone.
Vitamin G, got what you need. Vitamin G, got what you need.
All alone.
Vitamin G. Discussing that heat in the street, hey, we got just what you need on Vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Vitamin G.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone. All alone. I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone.
Vitamin G, got what you need. Vitamin G, got what
All
you need.
alone.
Vitamin G. Ay. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beast, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. Vitamin G. Vitamin G. Got what you need.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone.
Vitamin G, got what you need. Vitamin G, got what you need.
All alone.
Vitamin G. Hey, final round. I already know how I'm coming, man. Yeah. Try run the town. Tell no duck when they hear that sound. How they gon' come up now? Heavy as the head that'll wear that crown. I'm going pound for pound. And if it's about smoke, then we talk all of that. from an ounce to a pound. Take it, they biting this now, cause my drip right up the seat. How could it be? Give me a couple of rounds, cause I'm a beast when I'm on vitamin G. You see this start crumbling now, mind struck start mumbling now. Get the gist, I ain't reaching for cloud. Plot twist, I'm the one with the keys. Clock blitz, know the little half freeze. Different continents, I be torn. We living life, making yours look boring. See, we win at the end, it's a spoiler warning. Cause I keep heating up, I might blow the whole planet. They calling me toxic like global warming, but they keep tuning in once again and again. I'm the one at the top, just a formal warning. Truly, I'm De Niro when it come to movies. Get De Niro, entertain the groupies. Hop an arrow if you come pursue me. But I hop on the game, too busy rolled up whenever my girl getting moody. Link up with the gang, we all go insane, catching them doors on the duty. On the stick, see I'm locked in. Bought a box, I was like 10. Back then, used to box, nowadays they ain't throwing hands. Mama said we got more advanced. One thing about me, I adapt, bought a Glock fin. Keep me safe from the block in. The game kept me off the block. Ain't got flex about looting my Ruger. I can shit on you with my computer. See my graphics card costs more than your damn job can afford to pay you. And my monitor, big as hell, detail, so I can see when I spray you. To reload the clip and record the clip is go all say to that SSD. Know a whole lot of trill game heads like me wanna see tuned into that VGP.
Take over the west and the east, and we got just what you need on vitamin G.
What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Dante Crisis back with your weekly dose of vitamin G, and with me is the Planeteers of Gaming. First of all, we have the man of fire, Jubei Sensei, because if you challenge him, he will light you up. Jubei, what's good with you, man? How you doing today? What you been up to? You're muted. Fair enough, fair enough. Everybody watching, wish Jubei a happy birthday. What are you now, like 50 years old? I mean, it's true, black don't crack, but I mean, you good for 50. 31. Congratulations, man. You're finally entering adulthood. He's desperate. The man is desperate for goddamn attention. But no, but that's the price of Mario Party. And moving on to our next Planeteer, the man with the solid opinion, the man of elemental rock, Pharaoh. What's good with you, man? What have you been up to? Yeah. Yeah, I can hear you. What? It can't be. What the fuck? How the hell's any of this muted? It's set up correct. What the fuck? Well done. The hell? No, bitch. I take issue with that. I have multiple goddamn jobs. I got multiple goddamn jobs.
I don't care about
that. The curse of
FC
Violent. He knew what I was gonna write about him and his fucking weak knees. He knew what I was gonna fucking say. He knew what I was gonna fucking say, and the curse of FC Violent fucking struck me again. Alright, mic check, 1, 2, can fucking talk.
You are
there
fine.
We go, yes, now I can hear it. Yes, okay, fine, fuck. Yes, the original, by the way, Rafe, the original man is off. His knees got too weak. He needed his knees looking after. Alright, so recap. Jube's hungover, wish him a happy birthday. Pharaoh, what have you been up to, Mr. Element of Rock?
You know, just doing some Madden live streaming, a little bit of Scarlet Nexus on my personal time. Other than that, nothing else. It was Halloween weekend, so you know, busy with the kids. That's about it.
Fair enough. And now moving on to the man who holds the water because he flows through subjects and opinions so fluidly. Mr. Zero, what have you been up to aside from, you know, pestering the online forums about wanting to play Mario Party? What have you been up to, my man?
Bro, seriously, like, the game looks kind of fantastic. I know I've kind of bitched and complained about it, but, like, it looks really good. Even online looks pretty solid. I'm just saying, we talk a lot about games. We can just play it. I can just play it. Or, like, at worst case scenario, we can always do Jackbox. Like, that's...
Yeah. No, Jackbox is fucking hilarious.
Like, I have that.
Use your words is fun as well. Like, use your words, being able to put in subtitles for movies and stuff. That shit is hilarious. And all you need is your mobile phone.
Yeah, all you need is a cell phone. So, like, we're going to work on making that happen. But nothing much, man. Like everybody else, had a great Halloween weekend. I am playing Guardians of the Galaxy, which I'll talk about later. And that's pretty much it. Oh, I mean, for those who care, like, I got back into Duel Links.
Hey, I care. I care. I'm gonna need to see you on there.
I kind of mess with Duel Links again. I was like, all right, yeah, let me jump back into this. So I'm getting the hang of things. Jesus Christ, am I like way behind?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Master Duel, to be honest. Like I'm not gonna be on Duel Links.
That was rumored a while. Where is that? I thought that was supposed to come out like a while ago.
I'm still, honestly, as far as Yu-Gi-Oh, I'm still waiting for my true VR experience where I can put on my Valve Index on my VR headset and be able to have like a dual disc on my arm and be able to actually play virtual reality Yu-Gi-Oh and summon the monsters and they actually fucking show up and battle. I'm kind of waiting for that, and then I think we've peaked.
You got to support the Kuiper Corporation. Which, like, while I'm at work, I Yu-Gi-Oh runs in the background. Jesus Christ, did they just make up rules for that game?
Oh,
like,
you mean hold on? You mean like the actual fucking anime? You mean like the actual fucking anime where they just make shit up?
Like, literally, it's just like, you didn't know this. Like, no, it felt like you just made it up for no reason, and it worked.
Yeah. Like link summons and all that bullshit. It's a bunch of bullshit.
We're just old. That's what it is. We're just old.
I've been keeping up. It's not hard. I've been keeping up, but
yeah, like Duel Links now has like Pendulum, Link. I think the last thing I was comfortable with was like a little bit with Synchro, but even that I'm still a little bit confused.
Past that.
Listen, the last time I actually truly went hardcore, like actual fucking tournaments with Yu-Gi-Oh, was back when Black Hole was still fucking legal. Alright, moving on to the man with the most useless power of the fucking Planeteers, Heart. Omar, what have you been up to?
Top Dante, top everyone, nothing. Waiting on today for my new TV to arrive. After that, I'm gonna finally play game.
Nice, finally. You finally stepping into the world of 60 frames per second. Finally becoming a man. And with their powers combined, they summon me from my fucking sleep at 1 a.m. in the morning. What's up, everybody? I am Dante Crisis, and I finished Back for Blood. I've started Assassin's Creed. I'm playing Dr. Muto. And today I was playing some Payday 2. Now, as far as Back for Blood, I'm going to save my opinions for later because we've got a topic on that. And I got a lot to say on that. And as far as Assassin's Creed, I'm enjoying it. I am. But I For some reason, in my head, that game had a lot more stealth than it really did. And all I can think of when I was playing, while I'm playing it, is if it had like the Arkham system of stealth from the Batman games, I'd be all over that shit. Just imagine like Assassin's Creed 1. Just imagine that with not necessarily the combat system, but more of the stealth sections, like using the stealth of the Arkham games. Tell me that does not sound appetizing.
It feels like Arkham was the natural evolution of the Assassin's Creed games. Like Rockstar took what Assassin's Creed did and just did it better.
Rocksteady,
excuse me.
Rockstar just been putting out the same game for
a decade plus.
About 19 years. About 19 years since GTA 3. Let's be
They'll never show no love to Bully.
Hey, Bully's good.
Bully is amazing. The problem is, the fucker crashed every time when I was playing the PC version. Rockstar, fix your shit. Seriously. Oh, I've also had the itch. Shoutouts to Mitten Squad. Because of that motherfucker and somebody else, I can't remember his name. I can't remember his name. I started playing...
you watch Mitten Squad?
What?
You watch Mitten Squad?
Yes, I do.
He does some fantastic work, but go ahead, continue.
I have had the itch to play Fallout 4 again. No. It's, you know what, that game is a lot more fun than I remember it being, and it looks prettier than I remember, but I am playing it on the glory of the PC Master Race, where we have full fidelity. But something happened that's fucking hilarious. The RTX can't handle bullet debris. So if you're familiar with the game, you know what the weapon debris is, where you shoot a wall or the floor and debris shoots up and everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
RTX can't handle it. It literally crashes the fucking game.
That's not good.
No, it ain't. It really is not. But it's fucking hilarious. But the game does look really good, I won't lie. It looks a lot better than I remember it being. And mod support has definitely gotten better, especially being able to actually install mods from Fallout 4 itself. And I'm not talking Creation Club, because Creation Club's something separate. They actually have a mod section where they've got a lot of mods that you can just install straight from there. No need for a third-party thing, which is really neat and clean. And I would say that was a move in the right direction until Creation Club came along and fucked it all up. Right, but...
Fair enough.
Speaking of fucking everything up, Sega, what are you doing? Sega, why? Sega, why are you teaming up with the heathens, the infidels known as Microsoft? How dare you? How dare you, sir? You betray PlayStation. You betray everything you stood for. And I say all of this sarcastically. So, who wants to actually... Oh, first of all, let me set the stage. So, according to a new report from various outlets, Sega and Microsoft are planning, and there is talks to partner up to develop super games, in quotations, super games, for their cloud-based service, Azure, sorry.
It's not just Azure, but it's also GameStack.
According to this, it's
Did they make a Game Pass?
According to this, PC Gaming article, which came out 12 hours ago, they're highlighting specifically cloud-powered super games.
Yeah, using GameStack provides the cloud-powered super games.
That's though.
It's not just like Azure, as in like we're just using you as a server provider.
Yeah,
they're using like a specific service.
Back in May, Sega expressed its desire to create what it calls super games within the next 5 years. Now the Japanese publisher has entered a strategic alliance with Microsoft, which plans to use the tech giant Azure cloud platform to power its ambitious plans. So, I mean, we are talking about just games on a cloud. We're not talking disc games. We're not talking download games. We're talking specifically cloud games. Announced in a press release over the weekend, Sega announced that it had partnered with Microsoft to produce large-scale global games in the next-generation development environment. Notably, Sega cites the widespread development of SG and its push into cloud tech, both in how it makes its games and how it distributes them. So we are talking just like from the presser, we are talking cloud gaming. Like we're not talking traditional release games. We're talking about cloud gaming, which, depending on your stance with cloud gaming and obviously the benefits and the potential problems that can entail, this is either a good thing, bad thing, or a middling thing, to say the goddamn least. At the core of the partnership will be Sega's still as yet undisclosed super game project, initially described as a pitch to create a new IP with global reach. The week's announcements only elaborated with vague buzzwords like global online community and IP utilization. Though if those are the buzzwords they're using, that's concerning. In recent years, Sega has sat comfortably with a well-regarded, if not massive, publisher of PC strategy games and Japanese RPGs. But on some level, it sounds like the publisher would love to once again release something with a culture clout of those first Sonic games. Okay, that is the gist of this. That is what we are working with. So, Pharaoh, you talking about it. What are your thoughts on this? What are you thinking, my man?
I feel like it's just kind of a natural progression in the relationship that Sega and Xbox have been building over the past 2 or 3 years. Adding the Yakuza series, PSO support on Xbox, and a slew of other Sega games that we thought would never come to the platform starting to come to the platform. I think it's just a sign of Xbox's commitment to gaming, Japanese gaming, and they're spearheading that with their relationship with Sega.
Did they mention the word Xbox anywhere in that whole conversation? Yes or no?
I mean, I don't know about mentioning Xbox exclusively, but I mean, if it is,
the person who brokered that deal is Sarah Bond, who works at Xbox.
Okay, but still,
Microsoft
my question
CVP.
Is, you're literally talking about it as if they kept saying the word Xbox. Like, this is Microsoft. They never once mentioned the word Xbox.
He never mentioned that. There was no entailing he ever mentioned Xbox. I mean, aside from like the growing relationship between Microsoft, this is true. And this has been a growing relationship between Microsoft and Sega that's been happening over the last 3 years, which is what Pharaoh's talking about. He didn't really curtail it directly into like saying Xbox is getting exclusives or whatever. They're talking more of utilization of technology between the two platforms.
No, but the thing is, when you talk about Xbox, like, what he said, it's his assumption, right? Like, nothing is factual about it.
He asked my opinion.
Okay.
He didn't ask me to.
Yeah, I asked his opinion.
Okay.
So I just think it's, Microsoft and Xbox expanding their relationship with Sega, like we've seen over the past couple years. Typically, when you do business with somebody and it goes well in one sector, you start doing other types of business together. So I think that's kind of what we're seeing.
What are your thoughts on like specifically the buzzwords global online community and IP utilization? Like them some like so community that doesn't bother me. Like IP utilization, I don't even know what the fuck they mean by that. But like global online, like they use those as two separate words, but it's like, I mean, you're obviously dealing with.
If you watch the service that they're specifically using is that Sega's going to be using is GameStack, and they just had a GameStack conference. I think maybe 3 months ago. Maybe longer than that. Maybe it was May. It was a GameStack conference, and basically, the whole point of this GameStack is to give developers the power to make games that could never possibly fit on someone's hard drive. Like these big, rich environment games that you are going to have to play from the cloud, basically. So I think that is very enticing to some AAA developers, and I think we're going to see some of that more as the years goes on. I don't know what type of games those are going to be. I don't know if it's going to be mainly MMO or live service focused, or if they will do some things with RPGs, or create a world with a superhero world, or there's just a lot of possibilities with that. So it's just gonna be interesting to see where they take and what developers want to do with this new technology.
I don't know. For me, when you talk about games that are too big for your fucking computer, all I can think of is, ain't we already there? Isn't fucking Activision already clogging up my fucking my hard drive with fucking Warzone? The fact that son of a bitch takes over 180 gigabytes.
Well, now that's where GameStack comes in. I think I said it in the group chat. I think Microsoft is all in on gaming, and I think Microsoft, in the way that they did with Windows, is trying to develop technology that you need them. Whether you're a console holder or whether you're just a developer, you're going to need their services in order to make the type of games you want to make.
Just some additional information here. And this is from Sarah Bond, as you mentioned, because I was just looking this up. Sega has played such an iconic role in the gaming industry and has been a tremendous partner over the years, said Microsoft CVP, again, Microsoft, Sarah Bond. We look forward to working together as they explore new ways to create unique gaming experiences for the future using Microsoft Cloud technology. Together, we will reimagine how games get built, hosted, and operated with the goal of adding more value to players and Sega alike. This wouldn't be the first time Sega and Microsoft have collaborated, of course, with the two firms partnering to release 11 games exclusively to the original Xbox as part of the console's ill-fated push into Japan. Sega did support its Super Game announcement with plans to start reviving older IPs. And while it may be wishful thinking, I'm keeping my fingers for Jet Set Radio. That would be fucking amazing. But yeah, here's hoping for some new Knights games. But yeah, I mean, again, it's cloud gaming. Everybody, I'll save my opinion for cloud. I mean, everybody knows my fucking opinions on cloud gaming. But. Zero, I want your opinion. What are your thoughts on what you've been hearing?
Well, so far it's more of for me personally, it is here's how the sausage is made type of conversation where I'm just not that particularly interested. Like, I'll wait until you show me what becomes of this, because all I heard in that press announcement was mostly a bunch of PR buzzwords. Nice to put on paper, super game. What does that mean, Sega?
I know it's like a quadruple A game developer.
I wish I could break it down. I wish I could break it down to you, but you would have to actually look at some excerpts from the actual GameStack conference that took place a couple months ago. It's very ambitious, the type of things that they want to be able to do.
The way I can describe it, if I was to to my understanding, to simplify it and dumb it down, not because you're dumb, but dumb it down to the simplest degree. Imagine a world like the size of World of Warcraft with no loading screens, nothing like that, and you can traverse from one end of the world to the other, but with the graphics of a modern game. Same kind of world with the graphical fidelity of a newer game where there's no loading screens, nothing like that, and you can just be plopped into that world. And that's effectively what these super games are aiming to try and do. That is relatively and theoretically impossible to be placed on a hard drive or on a computer. Basically, just think of Resident Evil 7 on your Switch. It's impossible.
Yeah, it's kind of like the game stack software allow people to make the games this way. Not saying that the games will have to be on the Azure server. I think in the future you'll be able to use the game stack service, but still have maybe games on AWS or whatever your cloud provider is.
Right, and like that's where I sit at it. Like I certainly I get it. I get some of it. I'm not that smart, but like I do understand like what's happening. But it is just a lot of like, to me it's just like when Mark Cerny got up there and talked for hours on end about everything about the PS5, and I was like, that's cool, but boy, do I not care. And to be fair, it wasn't for me. It was at a game developers conference. It was for them. It's for them to learn this and understand this. But I could not care at all to sit and watch Mark Cerny go ramble off for a couple hours. And the same way, I'm just not that interested. Like, I mean, again, if you're into that space, and I'm not specifically into that space, so it's like, I understand AWS. I work with it in my job differently than how a game developer would work with it. So like I understand it and I know what's happening. I just don't care. The thing that sticks out to me is, okay, Sega, what are you making? Because just because it's a super game don't mean it's a good game. It just means it's a super bad game. And like people are going to use Azure regardless. So like Microsoft is fine, with or without it. So I'm just like, all right, Sega, well, what are your plans? Is this a bigger Phantasy Star Online? Is it, Dante said Jet Set Radio, which I thought, well, like, I don't know if anybody's seen Riders Republic, which looks to be a blast, like Jet Set Radio with maybe more like a Riders Republic feel, where you can have 64 people just sort of jet setting across the city.
I think
what we'll end up seeing is there'll be certain games and certain franchises where they'll build the world out and there'll be multiple games within that environment. Like, something like Star Wars. They'll build out the whole Star Wars universe, but make different games within it. Okay. And you pay for access to those games.
And I mean, any game could be anything, but I guess like to be fair, they did say new IP, so I keep harshing on their old stuff. They could just make new stuff. Yeah, which I guess is probably more the point than anything, right? Because I keep thinking like, what old IP would work in that kind of scenario? Like Star Wars does it because it's such a big thing. Same with like the Marvel movies, or any superhero genre for that matter. With like Sonic. Not really. Even Yakuza, Phantasy Star, not so much either. Panzer, no, I don't think they did Panzer Dragoon.
I mean, I think there's good practical application. I think, like I said, I think you can create like these worlds, and like you can create like a game that takes place in New York City, and that can. It's just one New York City map, but you can make multiple games within New York City. You know what I'm saying? Or, just whatever part of the world. Or if it's, sci-fi or whatever you want to do, you can have just one and make multiple games within it.
Yeah, so actually, now I wonder, and just a like thought or hope, I hope this doesn't wind up similarly to like HoloLens, where like HoloLens has very practical applications and is being used very well today. Its gaming application never really took off in the way that it was being advertised.
Yeah, I think the first application we can see of like how GameStack is being used is with Flight Simulator.
In what way?
Everything that's in that game is basically running off. Like your game is basically running off the cloud. Like you download a base portion of it, but the bulk of that game, the entire Earth is being simulated through the cloud. The weather, everything that's going on while you're playing Flight Simulator is being done through the cloud, through cloud processing.
Now that's just making me think more about HoloLens, because like that's such a wonderful practical application for much more real life stuff. And of course, I think Flight Simulator, like we've discussed it, it's a game, but it is an actual flight simulator.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, that's probably the only game we have right now that kind of showcases what you can do with GameStack. As far as like environments and size of game and like size and scale of a game you can make.
I actually want to get back to that actually, because I want to because I actually have a thought process on that, but I want to move over to Jubei. What are your thoughts on this the Sega team up, the Unholy Alliance as it was?
I mean, we can only speculate, right? I feel honestly it's more so like Pharaoh said, like more like a technology based thing. What I actually want to see from this, hopefully, is I don't know, more even if it doesn't necessarily lead to more exclusives, but like more marketing for Sega Japanese games on the Xbox. It should lead to more Game Pass stuff, but it might. Don't know really. I'm not as invested as you guys are in the partnership, so yeah.
Okay, so
hopefully it's not a waste of time and money. Like that's what I'm hoping for.
Even then, if it's a waste of time and money, they won't see it that way. They'll see it as a learning experience on both sides anyway. Most likely.
The thing I'm most excited about is that companies want to they want to push the envelope on games. They don't want to be stagnant in how games are made. So I mean that's the one like positive I'll take away from it.
All right, and Omar, what are your thoughts on this, man?
My thoughts is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I just see it the same way that they did it with PlayStation with Sony. It's a wait and see type thing. Like I am everything what Zero said. How he described it with Mark Cerny. Like it's cool. Good on you, but it's not for me. I am not in that part of the universe when it comes to this stuff. Leave it at that.
It's a little different than Sony, though.
And my thought behind that is right. Like we don't expect Sony, a direct competitor, to sort of, quote unquote, make a super game. Sega's not really competing with Microsoft; they're just there.
Yep.
Sony makes a specific type of game that doesn't need to be a super game. I mean, they might branch off with some of these new studios if they own and make something different. But yeah, they're not. They make a closed experience, about 20, 30 hours of gameplay at max.
So is something like New World, would that be something similar to a super game, if you will?
Yes, exactly. Okay, so I'm gonna take
that would be similar.
That New World is what I was actually going to get to, because we talk about the application of this technology and what would be the best implementation of this technology. Something like a New World would be the perfect example of utilizing this technology. Now, I'm not a big fan of cloud gaming because, honestly, even with the advances, like Jubei and a few guys on here have turned around and said that cloud gaming is the future. It might be, but it's still the future, in my opinion. Like, we're nowhere close. We're getting there, but I'd say we're like halfway towards cloud gaming actually being supportedly viable as being the backbone of gaming. Fucking Google Stadia proved that. Like,
how much years do you think we're far away?
Mr. Ready Player One, it doesn't like cloud gaming.
Digs aside, I would say would probably depending on how much Elon Musk is willing to fucking litter space with satellites, we're probably about 10-15 years away from it being viable. Because
Exactly.
what we need with this is we need stable internet connections. Like in a ideal world, internet would be a free utility for everybody to use free of charge.
Oh, yeah, no chance in hell.
Yeah, no chance of hell of that, because the thing is, like, with cloud gaming, there's so many variables that need to be remembered about cloud gaming. Is like weather causing interference with internet. That happened to me last night. We had some severe fucking like rain last night that killed my fucking internet and killed my stream, my Patreon stream last night. That would kill a game if it was cloud gaming. Then you've also got to worry about like these rural areas, or just people with who don't have the choice on internet provider, so the internet provider can just sell them a jacked fucking price. Comcast. Hold on. Then you've got to worry about data capping, because a lot of these internet providers, unless you buy the deluxe bundle, they'll cap your internet after a certain amount of usage, which again, all of these were problems that the Stadia had and ultimately succumbed to, was all of these goddamn problems. Not only that, but you've also got the monthly fee where, like, we again, a similar situation with the whole Nintendo expansion pass. Why pay X amount for one thing when I can just buy this game outright? What I feel like would be more acceptable, like if I was to, I don't know how viable it would be because I don't have a business degree, but for me, I would say if you were to charge people, say like a $5 a month, and say you a $5 a month, you can go online, but you buy the games outright. Now, so long as you have an account, so like, let's take Steam for example. With Steam, I buy the games, they're mine. Now, let's take Steam into the cloud and say, okay, I need to pay an extra $5 a month, right? Or I can buy a bundle for like 40 for a year or something. But the games are linked to my account, so I have to buy these games, but if I buy them, I don't pay an additional charge. Those games are mine, and I just need to pay $5 to access my account a month. That, I would say, is probably one of the most viable ways, because at least there's still a sense of like ownership over these games. Like, even if my subscription runs out, I know the next time I pay for the subscription, those games are going to be there waiting for me, if that makes sense. And it cuts down the costs on monthly charges. But like I said, given everything that's going on, and again, also COVID really did fucking highlight this and highlight how much our fucking lives revolve around the internet these days, especially with people working at home. I still say we're 10-15 years away from cloud gaming being like viable as like an actual full alternative. Now, wait a minute, hold on. Okay, hold on, give it a sec. We're reconnected.
We don't know what we're doing.
Yeah, no,
that wasn't me. That was OBS having a stroke.
Yeah, it happened to me a few days ago on my own stream. Like, it's not OBS, but for me, Discord just disconnect and connected by itself. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, with this, OBS just had a stroke, disconnected, then reconnected. I'm just gonna make sure we're still live.
I have a question.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me just finish this thought, because we're still live. We're live now again. Anyway, sorry about that, everybody. OBS had a stroke. A cardiac arrest. But no, I would turn around and say the most viable game, like the one that will prove the viability of cloud gaming, will be an MMO.
But
like
didn't
New World.
Amazon
Like New World is a good example, but it's not cloud based. It still follows the typical, like, you download the launcher and you go on, but you only pay like X amount. I don't know. I don't know if New World is cloud based, but I don't think it truly is. in the traditional sense. But like all MMOs are cloud-based anyway, because I mean, if you lose connection, you just get kicked out of it anyway. So in a sense, they all are cloud-based. But if we're talking like a true like super game, like they keep touting, like I said, you'd be looking at something like World of Warcraft, all of its expansions in one world with the graphical fidelity of a new world. Does that make sense? Like, think
My
of...
question is, didn't Amazon already release a game and flop on cloud?
Which one's that?
Did they release it? No,
They
New World was
released-
their first. Is the
I
first
thought
game
New
they
World was their
released.
first game.
Yeah, New
Yeah,
World
it
is
is their first game.
And it flopped, right?
No, it's extremely
no?
successful.
Yeah, wouldn't say it flopped. They had a steep user drop off base, but I think that's common for most MMOs.
It is.
I think people are, and I don't have all of their numbers, so I would have to see. But the last I looked at it, it was like it was still doing all right. I think people just keep comparing it to WoW, and it's just like nothing will ever be WoW again. No game that has come since then.
Final
You can't
Fantasy.
compare a brand new game to
even
a
Final
game
Fantasy
that is
almost-
established.
Final Fantasy 14 might have another word with you.
It's
This
getting
game-
it's getting there now. When it came out, it was kind of
takes-
trash.
It takes a while to build up an MMO. MMOs don't happen overnight.
But I would argue that WoW did, and it's the only one that sort of done it. And I said, Final Fantasy 14 does well.
No,
I mean, even if someone did do it overnight, it's the exception and not the rule.
And also,
Exactly,
with
and that's what I mean.
With
Agreed.
WoW, there is a big goddamn difference. Like, if you were to look at WoW's numbers, if they let you look at WoW's numbers, you'd actually see that there is a massive drop off, and there's only really ever an uptick when a new expansion comes out.
When a new expansion drops, absolutely.
Now-
But you know, like WoW's a cultural sort of phenomenon that like Final Fantasy is not.
Now, as far as now I'm looking at mmopopulation.com. According to this chart that I'm looking at, which, give me a second, I'm going to show on stream for everybody. Daily live population chart has, as of today, in fact, has the player number for New World over 1,616,545.
Lord.
That's apparently that's live population right now for New World. So to call that a flop would be ignorant.
Yeah, I think it's hard because I'm looking at it too,
Now-
right? And so
And now I did see an article saying that they did drop off in the last month. Over 500,000 people did drop off, and that is a significant number. But then that also turns around and says this motherfucking game had over 2 million people playing.
yeah,
That's
and
a lot.
very well. And like on the charts, it's listed as number 5 of like, if we keep going, of 100, if you will. You know, only getting beaten out by like the big boys: Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, RuneScape, and Path of Exile.
Yeah, according to this, total players, New World has estimated to have. Well, they've estimated, I think, to have over 17 million total players or subscribers. And the daily players, New World has estimated to have 1.6 million players per day this month.
So yeah, my thought would be for their first outing, not bad.
No, that's a smash.
I was wrong when it comes to saying it flopped.
Yeah, that's a smash. Now I haven't played it myself, but I do have interest. But obviously, I financially I couldn't support a subscription thing. Like, say, it's the reason why I gave up my fucking Old Republic subscription, because I just couldn't afford it. And I fucking love. Like, you want to talk about games that chug along again. Just think on that. Like, going back to the Star Wars thing. Like, again, cloud-based thing that could prove the technology would be like if you take the Old Republic, remove all loading screens, and say, okay, you want to go from Tatooine to Coruscant, you can literally just get on a ship and fucking fly there, and you'll be there in like 10 minutes. And there's no loading screens and nothing, and it looks as beautiful as like Battlefront 2 or Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Now that to me, when they say super game, it kind of conjures up ideas of that, especially if it's cloud based.
Well, then let me ask, because we're focusing on like what other people are doing. How would Microsoft use this? Because they would obviously be using it. Like, what would they make?
Well, again, they already have. Again, they already have with flight, like as like just to go to a point, like flight sim. Like once you're in flying, it doesn't have any loading screens. It's loading it all in real time ahead of you. Which is what the cloud gaming can offer, is the fact that there would be no loading screens, it would already be there.
But I think as far as like future Xbox first party studios, I don't know. I think someone at Bethesda or Obsidian, one of those RPG makers, I could see them, doing something.
Hey, fuck. Maybe that's why Crossfire is taking so fucking long to come out. Because they're putting it on the cloud. And they're just gonna make it massive. 200 versus 200 people. for all we fucking know.
But
I wouldn't mind that.
Real talk, how valuable is that for the consumer base that not only have shit internet, but sometimes don't even have a good internet connection at all?
Again,
is that not a death sentence?
It only has to. It only. I mean, for them, it only has to be viable for a certain amount of. It's all about is it profitable for them. So I mean, if there's enough, if it has enough reach, to areas where they can make a profit, they're gonna do it. And it's not like, I mean, internet is improving, day by day across the globe. I'm not saying that it's perfect. But I mean, if there wasn't an opportunity to make money doing it, it wouldn't be done.
Yeah, speaking of money and profit, Omar, you wanted to talk about this? Explain what the fuck I'm looking at here as far as these Capcom numbers. Because these are the Capcom numbers released for the year 2021 as it stands so far. Seeing... so, I mean, obviously there's no numbers for the PlayStation or Vita or the DS or 3DS because they've effectively been fucking killed off. But explain it, because I'm seeing 250,000, but I don't know if I'm missing some zeros there or whatever. Explain.
So Capcom for the year 2021 software shipment split. A Switch is around 3.65 million. PlayStation 2.75 million. Xbox 400,000. And the reason why I'm covering this is because this is not new. This was last year as well, very similar, and the year before also, very similar. And even Xbox themselves reported on decline in third-party sales, while PlayStation and Nintendo reported on growth in third-party sales. And PlayStation had a decline in third-party sales. But my point is, and the reason, so when I spoke, how many times I spoke about a game doing that much sales-wise on PlayStation versus Xbox, and it wind up being in England, in UK. The reason why UK is used, because UK is actually Xbox second best market share. So everything that you see in UK is actually reflected on Xbox, not Xbox, but more like on the Xbox sale numbers as a whole. Like for example, when you look at Guardian of the Galaxy, sold 80% on PlayStation versus 12 to 20% on Xbox. Like it's not even fair. For the people that want to say Xbox got digital, like PlayStation do digital as well, and MPD most of the time they focus on digital sales as well. My key point is, and I said it over and over again, how long before developers start skipping Xbox as a whole? Like we've seen it with Capcom themselves not putting Ace Attorney on Xbox. Like how long before we start seeing it more and more with developers? And if Xbox can do anything about it to fix it, like if even Game Pass is not inciting people to buy games, because this is literally what Phil Spencer said. Game Pass is going to result to more game sales. Yeah, we've seen it happen with few games and indie games, but when it comes to AAA games, they're taking a beating on this one.
Or are they taking a beating when Microsoft pays them to put the game in a service?
Hold on, Pharaoh, I know you got a lot to say on this because I saw.
No, I'm just asking the question. That's my only question.
All right, go ahead.
That actually, because I guess Pharaoh had the same question I was just gonna ask. So, for companies like Capcom, their games are on Game Pass, and so that means that Microsoft paid them at some point?
Yeah, but they're not day one on Game Pass. Not so far I know.
Okay.
Like, for example, Devil May Cry 5 was had a marketing right by Xbox, and that shit was not on Game Pass day one. They waited a while before putting it on Game Pass.
So is it just the day one of it all? Or I'm just trying to figure, like, my thought process is like, when do games like a Devil May Cry, when would it show up on Game Pass?
Like, for example, kind of like what they're doing now with Take-Two. It Takes-Two didn't come on Game Pass day one. They are now releasing it, putting it on Game Pass after a while.
It's not technically on Game Pass. It's on EA Play.
Well,
Which if you have Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you also have EA Play.
Okay.
And I wanted to stay away from It Takes Two just because it seemed like the conversations are more like AAA quote unquote games, which I would argue It Takes Two is not.
No.
Like Devil May Cry is, but It Takes Two is not. It just isn't. It probably exists in the same space as Ace Attorney for that matter.
If anything, a good example would be did Resident Evil 8 come out on Game Pass day one?
Yeah, yes.
And we're gonna, and that would be something we'd have to look at going forward. Is are the big franchise coming out? Are there big franchises coming out day one? Because I mean, I don't know. Let me look it up. I want to see what.
So far I know there is no Resident Evil on Game Pass.
I mean, but how many? Yes, Resident Evil 7 has been on Game Pass.
Have been or not? Is not.
I'm not sure right now. Like I can look right now and see, but I'm pretty sure there's. I can look right now pretty easily.
It might be, but like I mean that's coming out on Game Pass like years after release and years after profit's already been made, so they can afford to put it on there. Like
I mean, we can't look at Game Pass as far as what it was 2 years ago versus like what it is
No,
now.
but
I mean,
no,
we're,
but
we're
like the,
seeing.
no, but in truth, the narrative and like the narrative that even you and Jube have mentioned is that shit's coming out day one Game Pass. So like,
Well, I mean, they have had a bunch of titles that have come out day one that are third party, and they have deals for.
I know,
like,
but if we're talking,
What are you doing?
If we're talking,
Why the hell?
Hmm?
Sorry.
Cuba's having an outside conversation.
Yeah, but no, like,
Yeah.
as far as like what Omar is talking about, I mean, he's specifically like zeroing in, like tunnel visioning on Capcom and like their like from an outside perspective, like their lack of sales on Capcom is that also reflects on the fact that they are not putting. Is them not putting games day one on Game Pass a reflection on the fact that they're getting poor sales on the Xbox platform?
That would be impossible to say because we don't know if Microsoft is approaching Capcom about putting games day one in Game Pass.
Or if Capcom want to, because I mean, like I said,
Yeah.
if the numbers are to be believed, and like if what Omar is saying is true, and Capcom is not seeing like they've seen some growth. Like let's be if we're gonna actually talk about this, let's break down the numbers. Like PlayStation, as far as sales of Capcom games, saw a significant dip of over I think 550,000 units less than 2020. And then again, that also could be relative to the amount of games that they put out. But with the Switch, like their units sold literally doubled from.
Yeah, but to be
100
fair, Switch got what's called Monster Hunter.
What?
That
Resident Evil
PlayStation
7 is still in Game Pass, by the way.
Yeah.
doesn't
I
have.
just looked.
It all depends on also, and well,
Well, no, because like the Switch has been selling fucking hotcakes since 2019, and they saw a dip from 2019 to 2020 by 800,000 units, and then literally saw in 2021 that their margins double from 1,150,000 units sold to 3,650,000 units sold. And Capcom, like, it's not significant, but they still saw an uptick in software sold by 100,000. So, like, but like, PlayStation did see a dip as well, like a significant dip, like over 500,000 isn't anything to sneeze at. But going back to my point, I mean, if PlayStation is not PlayStation, sorry, if Capcom is seeing these numbers, like, because like I said, a lot of the narrative around Game Pass is like it's coming out day one. Look at how successful Game Pass is. If Capcom isn't putting their games out day one for Game Pass, could that also speak to the narrative that Capcom games aren't selling well, so they just don't see the viability of putting their games on Game Pass because they're just not selling enough units on the platform that Game Pass is predominantly on?
I think it's tough to say because they haven't done it yet, and it's not like everyone is putting their AAA titles on Game Pass day and date. I think we only have 2 examples of a AAA title going in Game Pass day and date from a third-party developer, and that's MLB The Show and Outriders, and both of those games had massive levels of success.
Fair point.
I believe MLB The Show's game sales overall doubled over the previous year, and Outriders was a game that many people believed that was dead in the water before it launched, and they gamed on Game Pass and gave it, such a boost that its servers crashed.
But I gotta ask that if you are the quote unquote not market leader, but more like you have the marketing right, and still you're not in the specific game on Game Pass, what does that say? Like,
But we're not talking about Game Pass. This graph that you're putting out is physical units shipped. Has nothing to do with actual sales of Capcom games. Excuse me. It has nothing to do with sales of actual Capcom games. This isn't a report on Capcom games sold on Xbox. It's a report of physical units shipped.
And I guess if we're part of that conversation, then I'm assuming we're talking about it's a year span from 2020 to 2021.
but this is
For the year of 2021. See, my whole thing for like the way the reason why that kind of breaks down for me, and the fact that this this is what muddles the water for me specifically, muddies the water a bit, is the fact that they do have PC listed right here, and they do have 150,000 units sold on PC, which for me, that makes no sense. There is absolutely fuck all chance in hell that, because like very few fucking studios release physical units on PC these days. Very fucking few.
They're just unit shipped, not sold. That's what I'm saying. It's not sales.
No, but again, that's what But what I'm saying is none of the games that Capcom released had physical releases, and yet they're still presenting numbers. Like, how can you ship units to something that doesn't exist? That's the point I'm trying to make, and why it kind of muddies the water for me, because I don't believe Resident Evil 8 had a goddamn physical release, because I would have fucking seen it. Like, I would have seen it, and I would have snatched that up. Like, I can't think of any game, because every other game, all the games now on PC are damn near digital. Even when you buy them physical, they're digital. You're just giving them codes.
I'm not disagreeing, but is there a possibility of like special regional releases?
No.
Like specific to Japan, or
not to my knowledge.
Yeah. I don't know, because I'm just going by what the graph says. The graph says physical units shipped.
Yeah, I get you, but but it says software, not physical units. It just says software. Like, yeah, it says units shipped by platform, but it says software. Like, again, I said, it's just the fact that it says PC right here, but to my knowledge, I don't recall there ever being an announcement of any physical PC releases, because the only companies I know of that still do any form of physical release is Bethesda and CD Projekt Red. They're the only ones I know of.
So, do you say this shot is a lie?
I'm saying this shot just makes not that much sense to me on why they.
Or we probably just need better clarification, because again, they're just putting naked data out there without any saying what it is. Because Dante brings a point about the PC things, but if they use some jargon where how many of these PC games sold count as quote unquote shipped, then okay, sure, but it does list it says sort of shipped, and it's shipped traditionally is meant physically shipping something, but that can't happen on PC. So probably just a bit more of what does that? What does some of these words mean as far as in relation to the graph?
Mm-hmm.
And what that information is, because I guess my thought is the Capcom numbers are mostly resting on the back of Monster Hunter and Resident Evil.
Yeah.
And Phoenix
but
Wright.
to be fair, they have not released anything aside from them.
No, they have. They released.
No, it's been a few things.
Oh, they have released DMC. I forgot DMC.
No, there was the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. There was Devil May Cry Pinnacle of Combat. There was
Ghosts and Goblins
Resurrection. Capcom Arcade Stadium. Rockman X Dive in 2020. Snoopy Puzzle Journey. What the fuck? But as far as future projects, the only thing they've got planned isn't until 2023 apparently, and that's Pragmata.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that one.
And the reason why I asked that, because the Switch sold so much more than PlayStation,
Yeah,
And so it's like, but there's only been one it's two. So I guess it's the idea that like these two Monster Hunters and maybe the Ace Attorney Chronicles count for that extra mil.
yeah, because Monster Hunter Rise is very, very large.
I'm aware.
Well, I mean, if we're talking just 2021, not really, because you had the Capcom Arcade Stadium came out across the board. Ghosts and Goblins Resurrection came out across the board. The only like exclusives, console exclusives that came out was just Rise and Stories 2.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ace Attorney, sorry, but no, Ace Attorney came out on PlayStation 4 as well.
That's on PlayStation.
As well.
My assumption is like there are pseudo console exclusives, even though they're not console exclusives. Like my best guess is most of the Ace Attorney sales come from Switch, in the same way that most of the Resident Evil 8 sales probably come from PlayStation.
Probably.
Yeah.
It definitely didn't come from the Stadia.
Yeah. So I was the numbers I was curious about. I mean, the Xbox thing I wasn't too. It was the Nintendo thing that actually made me interested about the numbers.
Wait, okay, so there is one thing that could make sense of that PC, or because it says PC other, there is one thing that could make a semblance of sense on that, is if they are tracking Steam sales and Stadia sales, but I'm fucking sure that it sold more than 150,000 units on PC. I'll look that up, but remember on Stadia you still had to buy the games as well as that monthly subscription.
Imagine that's.
So you think the 150k is Stadia sales?
I'm thinking not Stadia sales. I think they're combining the two, which is why it says PC other, because Stadia is still counted as a PC architecture thing, not because it's cloud based.
Dude, Resident Evil Village for $22, €22. Damn.
Yeah, games are extremely cheap after about 60 days.
I'm sorry, but the medium would like a fucking word with you.
That's on PC only. Like PlayStation is still 44.
Yeah, but that's if you go to the PlayStation Online store. But if you look around for a physical, you can find it pretty cheap. Especially if you're not dead set on buying it.
I want to get other people's opinions, because Jube's been silent, but Zero's been talking. Jube, you've been silent, and I'm pretty sure I know why. So if you don't want to speak on this, I don't mind, but I'm pretty sure you might have something to say.
I mean, yeah, it's a little sobering to put stuff into context, but I don't feel like a lot of that makes sense. Like you said, like just looking at it without company context, who knows what we're looking at? Because I see increases and decreases all across, but people are only celebrating the final number instead of what it means, percentage wise, in terms of growth.
I wonder if the question is, throughout Twitter, all I'm seeing is just like, haha, look at Xbox. I thought Game Pass was supposed to work. But like, it does for certain titles and for certain companies.
Yep.
If you just don't have the big ones, that's still not a terrible thing, right? Like, if Capcom. No, go ahead.
Well, I don't want to necessarily cut you off, but it's hard to say that. It's hard to criticize Game Pass in this instance when there's not a lot of Capcom games in Game Pass. Like, you had Devil May Cry in for a blip, but that was a year ago, so that's not a part of these, sales. There's nothing to say that, Game Pass did or didn't help, sales of Devil May Cry 5 in this particular topic that we're talking about, because this is only 2021.
I actually even think
and you have Resident Evil 7 that's in there, and that's an older game, and there's not like Capcom is pumping in games in the Game Pass right now. It's not a ton of Capcom games in the service.
Right. Okay. So hold on. Looking at some peak numbers. My theory on them combining Steam numbers and possibly Stadia numbers is looking more and more viable because back in May when this released, peak players or peak concurrent players of Resident Evil 8 was at 106,631 players. That would account for 100,000 of the 150 that they said. And then you combine that with possible, like the 2 people that have Stadia and any other avenue that they... Oh, I apologize. All 3 people that have a Stadia. And then
2 people.
And then you add that to any other avenue. That 150,000 is making more sense now. But then that also makes me question if they're tracking digital sales, which Resident Evil 8 only had, and like I said, even if there is a physical release, you only get a download code for obviously Steam, Bethesda.net, what have you. If they're tracking those numbers, then that throws into question in these charts, are we actually seeing tracking numbers for downloads on consoles as well, or are we not? Because if they're tracking, you know, what they consider shipments on PC, what's not to say if they are or are not doing that for consoles as well? Which again is that missing context.
Now, could it be possible that they ship like digital codes and they count that as shipments?
150,000 digital codes? That, like I said,
I'm just saying, like, I'm talking about like Amazon, or I'm talking about like a retail like Amazon or something like that. They ship.
No, absolutely not, because that wouldn't correlate with the peak players that this game had, which, like I said, it accounts for over I think that's like 3/4. Yeah, the numbers on Steam account for 3/4 of the PC numbers that they're saying.
Yeah.
Which I guarantee you, a lot of those people bought it. I'm gonna be honest. I'd say all of them bought it directly off of Steam. So, like again, like I said, that just throws this whole damn thing into like what the fuck territory for me. Like if you're tracking downloads on PC, like purchases and downloads on PC, like you've got to be able to track purchases and downloads on consoles as well. So are those part of the numbers you're showing us or not? Because yeah, like Jube's face right there is pretty much the face I'm pulling on the inside right now. Because this just makes no fucking sense to me. It really doesn't. I don't know. Like it's.
Okay, let's move on from it.
Yeah. The bottom line is we saw a small uptick in Xbox, but these numbers, like, and this comes down to what we talked about before, transparency. If these numbers get out, like they need to be transparent about. Okay, no, we are actually tracking digital downloads, which, first of all, is creepy as fuck. Get the fuck out of my fucking IP. But, like, we need to know, or I'd like to know, are these numbers representative? Because, like, let's talk actual worst case scenario. Like, if these are tracking digital downloads as well, like, that is looking like that goes towards what Omar is talking about. Like, that's looking bleak for Capcom on Xbox if they are tracking digital downloads, because that's only 400,000 units sold on Xbox. Like, worst case scenario.
I don't think they explain it if they are tracking digital or not.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying let's use a hypothetical.
But the thing is, even if, let's say, let's give them 1,000 digital, it still would not be doing
no
numbers.
Omar, you're missing exactly what you're missing everything that I'm saying. I'm saying hypothetically, let's say that 400,000 they sold includes digital downloads. That is bad. Like that.
Oh yeah, that's definitely
like
bad.
if we go worst case scenario, hypothetically, that 400,000 units sold includes digital downloads. That is a bad reflection
That's
on.
pretty bad.
Yeah, that is a terrible fucking reflection. Like that, then that's a bigger issue that needs to be that's a bigger issue that needs to be resolved. Like maybe with better marketing. That no, this is coming to Xbox. This is going to have like features on Xbox. Like you're going to be able to run this at You're going to be able to run this at fucking 8K, 20 frames, 60 frames per second. I don't know. But like, if those are the numbers, that could come down to bad marketing. Because I am fucking certain there are Xbox gamers out there that would love to play these games. Obviously,
bad marketing. I don't think it's bad marketing per se. Like, for example, Guardian of the Galaxy is the same marketing, yet on PlayStation did way more sales than on Xbox. It's just
but if we use FC as a microcosm, we all know that Xbox people hate Marvel, so it makes absolute sense to me. So moving on to the next topic though, because I think we've exhausted that one. The fuck is the next?
Which is
Left 4 Dead. Right, yes, Back 4 Blood. Okay, so quickie review just to set the tone for everybody. Back 4 Blood tries not to be Left 4 Dead, but with it trying not to be Left 4 Dead, it just makes you wish it was more like Left 4 Dead, because Left 4 Dead has a couple of things in it that just make it better. One of the biggest standouts for me is the fact that when you die, you drop your equipment. So if you have a defibrillator unit on you and you die, your teammate can come and pick up the defibrillator unit and basically chest paddle you back to the land of the living. Back 4 Blood does not allow this. You die, your equipment fucking dies with you. That's bad, especially in a game that has a 2-life system. You die twice, that runs over. You've got to start back from a previous checkpoint with a whole new fucking whole new game. Then on top of that, the fucking melee in that game. If anybody has played Left 4 Dead, you've been surrounded by the infected. You can push them off, get some space, and then blow them the fuck away. Back 4 Blood does not have that. You have a weak sauce fucking melee. You have a pussy fucking melee attack that can only attack one fucker that's surrounding you. It's weak sauce.
It's useless. It sucks.
Even when you get the knife, yeah, you can kill one motherfucker, but what about the 5 other motherfuckers beating your ass like a goddamn angry mob? Like, it's weak sauce. There are a couple of other things I don't necessarily like about the game. Like, the game is fun. The game is enjoyable. Alright? The game is fucking brutally goddamn difficult for some odd reason. I don't know why, but this game is fucking difficult. Alright? For some goddamn reason. I've lost my train of thought because I'm just, this fucking game. Yeah, for some godforsaken reason, they put in so many goddamn entrapment enemies. And what I mean is, in Left 4 Dead, you have a couple of enemies that can pounce on you. You have the jockey, you have the hunter, you can have the smoker, you can have the witch, which is a rare spawn. But that is 3 enemies, and you got the charger as well. All of these enemies can grab you and pound you into the ground and make sure you go down. Okay? No, you can't escape it yourself. Back 4 Blood has this, and they even have a way to get out, which is stun guns. The problem is, they have so many of these fucking units that spawn so goddamn much, you could feasibly, and this happened to me in my Let's Play, you could feasibly get team wipes by everybody just getting trapped by a fucking special enemy.
No, absolutely. That's happened to me too. That is a legit thing. Imagine getting grabbed, finally getting free, only to get grabbed again, and then they get grabbed. Like, it's like, okay.
And one of the worst ones is the fucking hawker. It is an enemy that will stand at a distance and spit at you and trap you in location. The fucking spawn rate on these sons of bitches and their cooldown to use their ability is retarded. Left 4 Dead does not have this goddamn issue, but Back 4 Blood does. So, this rant means something, Because it makes more sense when you read that Left 4 Dead 2 has more people playing it than Back 4 Blood. Not only does Back 4 Blood have those issues, like I said, it's a fun game. I like the weapon customizations. Despite the fact that you can't take attachments off a gun and put it on a new one. That's still bullshit. But Left 4 Dead has something, in my opinion, that Back 4 Blood is missing sorely. And this is something I've turned around and said, on this very fucking channel, Back 4 Blood doesn't have mod support. It doesn't have the ability to create like new weapon skins, new like change your characters. Because you know, maybe I'm playing Left 4 Dead and I'm thinking, you know what? I want to download this Resident Evil map where I literally go through the hive from the first fucking movie, and I want everybody to look like Jill Valentine, Chris Redfield, Hunk, Albert Wesker. Maybe I want my whole fucking team to look completely different. Back 4 Blood does not have this, which it should, in my opinion, have had from launch. Alright? I feel like I'm the most qualified to talk about this right now, because I've played both games and I have the benefit of playing on PC because Left 4 Dead has amazing mod. Like, if I was to throw out a PC starter kit for prospective people who want to get onto PC, I would turn around and say Left 4 Dead 2, because Left 4 Dead 2, let's not forget, Left 4 Dead 2 has both Left 4 Dead 1 and Left 4 Dead 2 on it as well, including a slew of other modes like Versus, Realism, and multiple other things. It has so much more to offer. I would, and all the mod support as well I've just mentioned, that is why I would always turn around and say, if you want to get into PC gaming, one of the first games you should buy is Left 4 Dead 2 for that very reason. Now, I want to get everybody else's opinion on this. Jubi, you are seemingly completely on board with what I'm saying, so yeah. But I do want to hear any additional thoughts that you have. Lay them on us, brother.
Yeah, I honestly feel like the game difficulty isn't very balanced. Like, if you're playing with bots at all, chances are you're going to be a failure. Like, it's the bots contribute literally negative 100%. Like, they are literally a detriment just because they exist.
Yeah.
Because literally they go down damn near immediately. A lot of times they definitely don't help you when you're being grabbed by something, so you'll just sit there and fucking die. Like, bots are just god awful. And that kind of definitely turned me off. There's things I love about it. Like, I do like the card system and how it works. There are definitely positives to the game there, but it needs some balancing and some spawn rate adjustments. Like, I could imagine the spawn rate being on higher difficulties, but they really be trying to like bend you over the couch on recruit.
Let me add this. My initial let's play of this, and I even allude to this in my let's play. Because here's the thing, this difficulty will fuck you with no lube. Because on veteran, like, so there are 3 difficulties: recruit, veteran, and nightmare. Recruit is normal mode. Do not let it dissuade you. Recruit is effectively normal mode of this game. It's not easy because
at all.
In recruit mode, after you get a checkpoint after every section. So let's say in Act 1 there is 4 sections. You get a checkpoint after each section in that act. In veteran, you only get 2, the second and the third. Nightmare, you only get 1 checkpoint, and that's the very first fucking level. Now imagine doing that with a 2-life system.
Yeah.
While you've also got the corruption cards constantly buffing enemies to have armor, making them deal more damage, making it so that if you kill them, they fucking explode.
Yeah.
Like, this game's difficulty needs to be tweaked. Because, like, the fucking... Like, I turned around and said in my Let's Play, we tried to do it on Veteran, because I thought Veteran's got to be the normal mod. We couldn't even get past the... In Act 1,
we couldn't even get out of the door, bro. You get out of the door, and you fucking die. Dude, you just immediately die.
We tapped out, and, like, I consider myself, like, competent at playing video games. Me and the crew fucking tapped out, because we couldn't even get past the 3rd section in the first fucking act. We just kept getting pounded and grabbed and downed by every single fucking special enemy that could spawn, from Reekers to Tall Boys to fucking Hawkers. It was insane how much this fucking game would spawn specials. So
look, you're being grabbed by a tall guy. Another one spawns right next to him, just waiting, just literally waiting for you to get broken out so he can grab you. Like, it's a super balanced issue. It needs help.
Yeah,
and I'm not really trying to touch that game until it gets it.
Zero.
Yes.
What number are you getting?
Oh, 62.
Cool. All right, gotcha.
Wait, 62 on what?
No, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We're done here.
Background business.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll look at you side-eyed for the rest of the stream. Okay. Now, also, I'd like to point out, like, Left 4 Dead 2 specifically, Left 4 Dead 2 is fucking old. Like, this game's been out for over 2 decades at this point.
Yeah, it's old.
Like, hold on. When the fuck did this come out? When the fuck did you come out?
I don't think
this game is over. This game came out in 2009, and it's still out.
It's like 12 years old. 12 years
Well,
old.
you know, when you have mod support, that adds a lot of life to a game.
No, Fallout 4 would like a word with you. But no, like it does. But no, he jokes, but it's the truth. And what's even funnier is the fact that Valve somehow still fucking supports this, because they recently came out with a whole new fucking chapter in the game. It's a short one, but they came out with a new fucking campaign recently for it, which sparked fucking intrigue in the fact that, oh, maybe we'll get a Left 4 Dead 3. Like, this is, like, Back 4 Blood to me is Left 4 Dead 3 done by people who, like, what remained of the team that did the original. Because, like I said, it just makes you wish that it was more like Left 4 Dead with some of its features. Like I said, I like the corruption cards as well, but adding that to the difficulty fucking spawns, like the fact that enemies can be armored so they take more bullets, and the randomness, the thing that boggled my fucking mind, and this is a nitpick. This is a nitpick, 100% a nitpick. But I look at the AK-47 I'm holding, the bare bones AK-47, and I question, what sadistic bastard thought that it would be a good idea to make the basic AK-47 only have 20 goddamn rounds?
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, bullets. Some of these guns, I'd be like, "Are you serious?" Also, the sniper's hot garbage.
Not the 50 cal, because we basically all use 50 cals to beat that fucking.
The 50 cal is good, but anything outside of that, not great. Not great at all.
Like, for some reason, the Chris Vector
throwing a fucking scope on a fucking SMG, like
a 4x scope, a 4x scope on a UMP-45. Why? Like,
you literally just invalidated its whole existence. I'm like, why?
This is why I turned around and said, even in the goddamn beta, when I did my video on that, they needed to add the ability to remove mods from a gun. Because I don't want to be standing here with a goddamn UMP-45 with a fucking sniper scope on it. Because you end up hip-firing the fucking... Because here's the thing. The absolute worst thing is, you end up hip-firing the guns more often. That's like my #1 rule with this game now. Don't bother ADSing. Just fucking hip-fire. Because by the time you line up a shot to get the fucker sprinting at you, you're already seeing the fucking wrinkles on his face and the worms moving under his skin, because he's already like inches away from you by the time you line up the fucking shot.
Yep. Fair.
Ugh. And of course,
it has so much potential, but it's just
and of course,
balanced terribly.
What, Jube? In fact, you know what? I want to pull everybody's opinion on this. Anybody with a fucking FPS background, anybody in chat with an FPS background who knows about the Chris Vector. All right, what fucking sense does it make that a Chris Vector has 19 bullets? A gun that
the idea that they're supposed to make is it an artificial difficulty? Is that what they're trying to do?
No, that's the gun by default. That's the gun's ammo by default. It has 19 rounds. A gun that... Give me a second. I will look up the goddamn fucking... Because I'm curious. What is the rate of fire on a Chris Vector? Alright, the Chris Vector has a goddamn rate of fire Hold on. The Chris Vector has a fucking has a rate of fire of 1,200 rounds a minute. What fucking sense does it make that it has 19 rounds in a magazine?
You talk about
They just-
spraying
they-
for 2
they-
seconds, bro. It's a wrap.
It sounds like there was zero like actual research done on like magazine capacity of the weapons that they actually put in the game.
No, they have good models like
Oh,
holding the
beautiful.
Glock and stuff. Like when you're at the firing range, like the guns are true to life. Like
Dude,
the Glock looks just like a fucking Glock. It's a Glock.
The
By
guns-
all
the
counts of
guns are
imagination, the models are fire.
The guns are
I'm
so
sure they look
modeled.
great.
The guns are so modeled that if you actually look down the barrel of the Belgian, which is the goddamn double barrel shotgun, they actually texture the front fins on a shotgun shell. And by the way, you turn around and say it's 2 seconds and it's over with a 19 clip Chris Vector. Dude, guys with erectile dysfunction last longer in bed than that. They last longer than the satisfaction of that fucking gun. Sorry, oh my god, sorry, I kind of went on a fucking rant with this. This was like, this has been it's been like bottling up, and this just solidified my problems with this fucking game. See, this is I can't remember, but I don't believe Back 4 Blood has a versus mode. I
believe it does.
Give me a second. Does it? Because I know it has a horde mode.
I think it does. I know. I think there's a mode where you can play as the.
Yeah. Back 4 Blood. Yeah, Back 4 Blood versus mode. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so it does. I'm curious to know how much people are getting. Like, how I want to know the win-loss ratio from cleanest to ridden, because I guarantee you, if it's anything like the actual fucking in-game, Ridden are winning like 90% of the fucking time if they can like trap you that much.
Yep.
Does anybody have anything to say outside of me and Jubei?
Nope. For me, you said it all. You played the game, I never did, so I can't comment on it.
Zero?
The only, I mean, outside of like, it just doesn't seem to nail any the things correctly that Left 4 Dead did. I do always kind of look at certain things as like products of their time, right? Like Left 4 Dead is sort of extended way beyond that. Like that type of game, I think specifically was of an era. In the same way that like Among Us was of an era. I'm just curious if that type of game, even if Left 4 Dead came out today, would it do numbers the same way Left 4 Dead used to when it came out years before? My thought would probably be no. I have like a more long-winded rant, and I was like, I don't know, man. Don't people still have friends? Because like all I see is a bunch of single-player things, and I was like, that's not how I grew up playing games. But I wonder, like, that level of gaming seems to have disappeared in some form or fashion, and it's not completely true because like Dead by Daylight's still out here.
No, I'll give you one more accurate to what you're talking about. But you are right, it hasn't disappeared, it's just kind of gone more into the background niche. But in the last couple of years, like, just this year, we've had one re-release and a new release of a similar type of game in World War Z and Alien Fireteam Elite. And Alien Fireteam Elite is, pun intended, fire. I love that game. Like, they're both horde shooters. Like Left 4 Dead, just in a third person.
And, the idea is, like, are they... And I don't know. I only got to play World War Z. I forgot it existed, but it's on PS Now. It was fine. I didn't have that much fun with it, but it was okay. But, like, are they... For lack of a percent, are they popping? Like, are they jumping off?
Fireteam Elite did well, to my knowledge, but it wasn't, and honestly, I think with something like Left 4 Dead, it was more of a lightning in the bottle moment.
Right.
Like, to turn around and say, well, anything, like, of that genre hit the same hit the same numbers. It's like some genres have more lightnings in the bottle than others, like first person shooters. Like you had Call of Duty, Battlefield, Halo. Like
Halo,
that's
all of
because
them,
there's just so many of them than horde-based shooters like this, where they don't catch the lightning in the bottle as much because the genre isn't as saturated, if you will. For every Halo that you have a legendary, you have a turning point, you have fuck, I'm just trying to think of like obscure, didn't do so well first person shooter. But then you've got but you get my point, but then you also have like the gems, the diamonds in the rough, like Terminator Resistance, which made by the same guys who did Rambo the video game, somehow made a fucking amazing first-person shooter in Terminator Resistance. Didn't sell gangbusters, but it is one of those hidden gems that you should go and buy if you are a fan of the Terminator license.
Okay, so maybe you're right. I mean, it might just be that genre isn't particularly well represented anyway, so it sticks out more when there are failures, as opposed to the many first-person shooters that just fall by the wayside compared to all the good ones that I focus on.
Yeah, well, at least that's how I see it. And another good example, for every Gears of War, there's an Army of Two. Like, Army of Two wasn't bad, but it kind of fell by the wayside, and then went shit with 40th Day, and then the Devil's Cartel, which was even worse. Yeah. Right. I don't. Farrah, you've got nothing to say on this?
I kind of came in a little late, had to disappear for a second, so I don't want to.
Don't worry.
Say something that's...
Yeah. Do you think this game gonna come back? Get a comeback, or do you think it's gonna die at 1,000 deaths? Because when what's the game? The other game, not Back 4 Blood, Left 4 Dead have more game players right now than this game. What does that say? Is this dead on arrival?
I don't think it's a game that's dead or on arrival. I think it's a game that'll continue to get updates, and it'll probably stay in Game Pass for a while, so it'll probably kind of help it out a little bit. If they release some decent updates, and people can just jump back in and try it out and see if the game got better.
Does it have crossplay?
Yes, it does. It does, actually.
Man, if they don't mess around and have Sony and Xbox cut them a check to put it on PS Now and Game Pass, so that like
it's already in Game Pass. It's already a day one Game Pass.
So that they don't come to Sony and be like, "Dog, can you put this in PS Now, please?" And like everybody can play.
Yeah.
I
mean that works, but you also need to make the game more playable.
You need to make it more viable.
And you need to make the guns a little bit more realistic, because people will go from COD to that and be like, "What the hell is this?"
I have no. I feel like they might expand on the campaign, like they might add more of more to the campaign. But how long that's going to take is anybody's goddamn guess. But the fact that and I'm not saying crossplay is a hindrance, because you could like, fuck, I can't believe I'm about to praise this, but fucking Bethesda and Fallout 4 proved it's possible. You can have mods on console. So, like, just allow the PC community to have the modding tools to be able to put mods on. Like, you can have a curating system like Fallout. Like, just let the PC community do what they do best. Let them make mods. Let them make custom campaigns and custom models that our console brethren, our console cousins can download and enjoy as well. Like, I feel like that's something as well that, again, I feel like Fallout 4 eventually embraced, that definitely helped. Because, I mean, there's a Michael Rexecutioner, who's a patron of mine, was watching my Fallout 4 play. After I recorded last night, I was playing some Fallout 4 while he was watching on my Patreon stream. And I was going through some of the mods I had installed on Fallout 4. And the first thing he asked for me is that available on PlayStation? Like, the PlayStation mods? And I was like, yes, it is. And I'm like, and it's the epiphany of, let PC be your backbone. Like you can put out your own official content, but let PC do what PC does best, and let us mod. Let us create some creative stuff so we can keep the game alive on both console and PC. Like, just imagine that. Imagine if Left 4 Dead. Imagine if they re-released Left 4 Dead on current generation consoles, and you had the ability to download mods. Like, yeah, they take up space, but they're using the same in-engine thing. There's nothing massively different about it. But you can download these mod campaigns. Imagine how fucking popping that would be. That's what Back 4 Blood needs. It needs to allow console players to say, okay, I want to play that campaign because that campaign's got 5 stars and everybody seems to love it. I'm going to try that. Or I want to mod this enemy to look more like the fucking liquor from Resident Evil or some shit. Like, mods can't...
They'll have a Lady D mod.
The tall guy's now Lady D with a big giant extended arm.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
or the fucking Reekers now, Thomas the Tank Engine coming at you.
Do we know? Did they get at any streamers to help with this?
I don't know if they did.
I'm sure they did. I'm sure they reached out to streamers and said, "Hey, can you play this for
Because I've seen a couple of people I follow play it, but like they played it and moved on. They didn't seem to enjoy it. They just got a check.
I'm curious what does Back 4 Blood... Before we move on to the next one, I just want to quickly see where Back 4 Blood currently ranks on Twitch, because I mean, aside from certain streamers who play games that just add like about 100,000 fucking views to a game, sometimes it's actually a good fucking thing to see like where it ranks. Right, so it's currently max. It's currently, and unfortunately, this doesn't tell us how many streamers are streaming it, but but overall, it has 8,700 viewers watching it over who knows how many streams. Phasmophobia is beating this. Smite is beating this. Darkest Dungeon 2 is beating this. Hey, Pharaoh, you'll be fucking happy. Destiny 2 is beating it as well.
Pharaoh, I will, because Destiny 2 is an amazing game.
Me and Zero.
Yeah, and you guys should really play it up to now. Like, it's a pretty fantastic campaign story. You just really get it. Solid FPS. You should really play it. Like, apparently Halo's supposed to be coming back, but it's not going to beat Destiny. So it's like, yeah.
The gunplay is second to none.
Yeah, it's second to none.
I mean, for fuck's sake, like.
I would expect Halo to kind of curb stomp Destiny because it's
we'll have to see, because I mean, for fuck's sake, somehow, just some fucking how, like I'd just love to sit people down somehow. I don't know how many fucking streams, but apparently collectively GTA 5 has over 177,000 people watching people play it.
Which, to be fair, GTA 5 is a bit of a cheat as well, because not everybody... There's a whole separate community that utilizes GTA for something wildly different.
That is beating Fallout. Sorry, not Fallout. That's beating Fortnite. It's beating Fortnite by over 40,000 viewers.
So I have a coworker who is in... I don't know if you guys have ever known, GTA 5, or most of the GTAs, have people who like role play actual professions in the game.
They're not as big as you think. Like they're not as big as you think, Zero. Like,
but that might be an extra 40. That might be the extra 40K to put them over.
Not 40K. No, I would say at least 20K, but not 40. Like they are like you will see more. Like I would also turn around and say, don't equate YouTube numbers to like people who watch that stuff live. Because like that,
There's some who watch, but you might be right. You might be right.
Like it is big, but it's big in its own sphere. Like you'll probably get the same amount of people watching people roleplay on Gary's mod. All right, but Zero, I want you to keep talking. You've been bigging this up. You've been telling everybody they were wrong. I want the Zero impression, which is now officially going to be a segment. If ever you need to talk about something, it will be called Zero impression.
I really wish FC was here.
Oh yeah, I'd light him up. Light him up.
Talk. Tell us. Preach. Preach from the gospel. Preach from the gospel of Guardians of the Galaxy. Tell us why we were all wrong. Go ahead. You got the floor, my man.
It is an impressively fantastic game. And like, there's a part of me. I knew it, but that's why I backed it when like we initially saw it, and it was largely because, yes, it looked like Avengers, and like the first showing was probably running off a Switch, so it did not show well. But in a game like this, half the battle is nailing the people who are on screen. You know, when I played Days Gone, my favorite thing I liked about it, I like Deacon. Like, he's just not a dude I play. Like, I was really interested in Deacon. I think he's a really cool character. So is Boozer. So is everybody else. The Guardians are sort of a fun group of people to play with. Like, they're video game people. Like, they pop right out of a comic book or a video game. They're not hyper serious. They, you know, have moments of, you know, levity, depth, sadness, anger, all that type of stuff. But at its core, it's just this very fun game about these sort of misfit group of superheroes who just exist in the universe. I think they did a very wise decision of like they didn't fall into the Avengers trap where the characters look kinda sorta maybe like the movie equivalents. And so there's this weird like disconnect where like the guy who plays Hulk looks a little like Mark Ruffalo, but not a lot like Mark Ruffalo, so it looks like somebody drew a bad version of Mark Ruffalo. So it keeps invoking like, well, this is the movie, and it's like, this isn't the movie.
Yeah,
these Guardians,
Gamora and like Drax look very more comic accurate than their movie counterpart.
These Guardians are not the movie counterparts at all. These are their comic book incarnations almost to a T. And you know, however various comic book incarnations they have. But down to, and not, this isn't a spoiler, but like Star-Lord has a whole different dad. They changed his dad's origin for the movies, but he goes back to his actual dad in the, you know, the game, which is from the comic books instead of everything else.
Yeah, wasn't his father in the comic books an Eternal?
He is, he's I forgot what they're called.
Or is it, no, he's
in the movies.
In the movies, he's an Eternal.
No.
He's a Celestial.
He's Celestial, that's it. He's a Celestial.
Yeah.
His father is a Celestial.
Yeah. In the movie, his father is a Celestial. He's Ego, the living planet. In the comic, Ego is just a living planet. He's not anything other than just a planet that happens to be alive. Yeah. So, the combat... so, let me put a couple negatives. It is not a technically impressive game. Meaning it's very, very pretty. Like, everything looks really good, including the scenery. They did a really good job of making alien worlds feel like alien worlds, and not just like human worlds painted a different color. But the lot of like clipping through enemies, or you'll see like hair running through arms, things of that nature. I like fell off and landed on Rocket and just sort of floated in midair for a minute before I had to move, and like then I landed on the ground. So it's not the most technically sound game, but it's not enough that breaks the game or makes it bad. It's just enough to look weird. But they're clearly, I think whoever sort of designed this or designers behind it clearly just understood the assignment. Like at first, I thought that playing with just Star-Lord would be a bit of a hassle, but it's much more like Final Fantasy 15. Which I think most of us can agree. The combat wasn't the problem with that game.
Yeah, not at all.
No, it was half the game missing.
Yeah, half the game, and probably nobody really cared about Prompto. He sucked. But yeah, like the combat wasn't that, and so that's what you're doing. You're controlling the other 4 guardians, and it can get kind of hectic. Because essentially each guardian has 3 skills. And so you have to hold a button, choose a guardian, and then choose the skill you want from there. Fortunately, when selecting, of course, time slows down and you sort of move quickly. Peter mainly just uses his guns. He has a melee that is useful, but you'll be mostly shooting for the entire time. Combat is a little stiff, but that's, I think, largely the character you're playing as. Peter's a guy who shoots guns. He doesn't do much other than that. So, he can move because he's got jet boots, but for the most part, he's on the ground or like hovering in the air, shooting at things. And that's going to be the primary way you're attacking. His guns have elemental charges that change throughout. There are 4 each, so you can sort of switch between each elemental. Obviously, elemental charges do better or worse on certain enemy types. And you just sort of run through this. The big super move is once you've built up enough meter, it's a concept called a huddle, where essentially the team coming us up and like, this is tough, this is challenging, or they're like, we're whooping ass, dog, we are the greatest, and you have a choice to make, and your choice, depending on what you choose, will have a different effect. And it's just 3 effects, so none of them are particularly that great. One is basically your whole team gets powered up. The other is basically just you get powered up. And then the last one is just your bar just gets refilled. So
I'm sorry, just you describing that makes that sound like the funniest shit ever. Like just suddenly in the middle of a fight, they all huddle up like this, like a football huddle, and they're like, "Man, we're fucking killing it." Okay, how are we gonna fix this?
Yes, and then like you're looking from Star-Lord's perspective, so they're looking at you and you're looking at them, and you're talking, and then of course I don't know what it costs them to get the music in this game, because I know music isn't cheap, but they've got an excellent soundtrack. So once you initiate the huddle, Peter's soundtrack kicks in, and it's always a random hit from the 80s. And it takes over the battle music, and it just keeps running until the battle is done, or actually I can't remember because I finished all battles with it. It might be until the battle is done or until the mode actually runs out. But it's like a wonderful mechanic because it kind of gets you pumped up when you just get that like right song. And again, if anybody's ever seen the movie, one of the highlights of the movie was the soundtrack itself. And so that's something they've taken into account in making sure that the music of Guardians is just as important as everything else. It is very, very oddly close to, I think, an evolution of a Telltale game.
Okay.
This feels like the natural evolution of where we probably would assume Telltale would eventually start doing, and that it is a lot of dialogue, but none of it feels wasted, and it's because they're so funny or just interesting. Like Drax is still himself; he's very, very literal, and they are a better unit than they are in the movies as far as like their relationships to each other, but all they do is argue and joke on each other and bicker and do all of these type of things. Like Rocket and Groot are kind of new to the team. So Drax doesn't really trust them, or to be fair, Drax doesn't really trust anybody outside of Peter. Gamora she's daughter of Thanos, but like Thanos isn't around currently, and nobody really knows why. He just isn't here, and the rumor is that Drax killed Thanos, but nobody actually knows why. Rocket and Groot are largely the same. He just doesn't sound like Bradley Cooper.
Shame.
And he's more, he knows where he comes from, so he is well aware of like who made him, what he was all about, where his world is, and like they all reflect on like their messed up pains about like Peter's like, yeah, because this happened and my mom died, and Drax like they killed my family, and like they will have like a pain Olympics About like, no, I had it worse. Like, no, but for real, I had it worse, dog. I'm telling you. And so there are points where I just stop playing and just listen to them talk, and they legitimately won't shut up. Even if you're just standing there, they'll just start rambling off about anything. And it's such a fun thing. And there are choices. So far, I don't know how important the choices are. An early part in the game is you are, in this first mission, you are collecting a monster to give to the monster queen. I can't remember her name. And basically you're trying to trick her. So the option is you can give her Groot or you can give her Rocket.
Yeah, we saw that in the demo.
Yeah, and like, everybody has their own things, and when you make the decision, you make the decision. I do not know if later on that decision plays into anything, but like a Telltale game, when you make certain key decisions, it like puts a marker up top. So it said like Rocket remembered that you looked out for him, or Groot remembered that you were an asshole. And so I don't know what that does so far.
Does it actually say that? Does it actually say Groot remembers you're an asshole? I hope
does
it
not.
does. Damn it.
There's a scene where Drax, they're trying to get across a canyon, and Drax is like, I can just throw Rocket. And it's like, don't throw Rocket. And you have a choice. You can be like, throw him or don't throw him. I chose not to throw him, but it said like, Rocket remembered your kindness. I'm like, okay, I guess that will come back up at some point. Don't know when that's coming up yet, but hopefully it will. There are some cast of characters who I think we'll all be familiar with. Some we probably won't, because this leans real heavy into the comic side of things than the movie side.
I would love it if they said he remembered you were an asshole.
Yeah.
Like I said, I mean, they do like each other, but like you can tell it's like the thinnest of lines between like, all right, you getting on my nerves, and like you still cool and you are useful to me, but like it's only gonna go so far before you get on my nerves and I had to kick you off my ship. So I think that the dialogue is just so very good. And I don't know who. Oh no! A Guardians writer wrote this.
Yep, he did.
And I think I think that was part of it. Because I'd have to look up. I wonder who wrote the Avengers game.
Probably just some rando who probably wrote some.
I would be very intrigued.
I just really want to see this fucking huddle. I'm not kidding. I just really.
Oh, the huddles, yeah, and it goes like pink and everything. If you pull the thing up, just I'm
trying.
Find it. It's awesome.
Oh, Hood. No, is that Hood Leroy? I'm trying to. The concept alone just makes me like laugh. Because I just, in my head, like, the most Guardians thing would be in the middle of the fight, they do it, and then, like, halfway through the huddle, they all look up and look towards the enemy, and then go back into the huddle. Like, so, still like, waiting.
Yeah, so, like, they're really I think again, part of why a superhero game, I think, more importantly than any others, like, it has to nail the characters who you're representing. Yep. Because these are already characters.
Oh my god, he's not actually kidding. Alright, I'm gonna bring it up on screen now. He's not actually kidding. The huddle. He's not actually kidding. They legitimately actually fucking huddle up.
Yeah, the huddle is one of the best things that I've seen a few gameplay of it.
That's fucking hilarious.
It can help you or it can hurt you.
Yeah, well, it doesn't actively hurt you. It's like, if you put it in levels, it's like, it can really help you, it can kind of help you, and then it just does nothing for you.
Mm-hmm. Don't get cocky because we know the game. Wait, what's that? Laugh in the face of danger.
Are you in love with the banter?
Yes, I'm reading the banter.
Yeah, it's the best part of the game, I think.
I kept hearing that. It's like, yeah. I'm not a Guardian of the Galaxy fan, so if I'm new, am I going to be able to enjoy it as how you are?
Yeah, I would say yes, because their banter isn't like, you don't have to know the like story wise, you might want to know, but they explain everything for you. But like as them just interacting with each other, they're a dysfunctional family. So if you think of any like dysfunctional family from any TV show, you don't have to know who these people are to laugh at them making fun of each other. It's just a good time, and like you can get the references because none of them are like weird, deep cut Marvel stuff. They're always talking about like themselves and like what they do and what they look like and how they feel. And like you make dumb decisions. Remember that one time you did that one thing? It's like that was one time. And like people don't forget. So like why would I? So it's all that type of energy built into, I think, a nice looking package, a fairly competent like technical standpoint package. Like I said, there are some issues about clipping through stuff. And I wouldn't be surprised if there was some folks who got like stuck on things and maybe had to reset to an earlier save. At least in my experience, few and far between. But like, you know, we live in a very hypercritical eye.
Not according to Steam. Not according to Steam. People seem to be overlooking that because like
everything else makes it better, so you can overlook it.
Yeah, I just wanna reinforce your point. Like one of the hardest crowds to please the PC community, currently on Steam with over 2,755 user reviews, currently sits at a 93% positive rating.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Again, I think it's the same thing that made particularly the first Batman and the first Spider-Man such good games, because I think they nailed who these characters were. Like, it's one thing to just make a game. Like, for example, I like Infamous. I do not care about Cole in the least. He's just so bland and boring to me. That like I think the girl from Second Light was more interesting to me. So I had no connection to Cole. He was just a dude. But like I have an understanding of at least what Bruce Wayne / Batman is supposed to be.
You're talking about Justin, right? Cole is 1 and 2.
Yeah, he's 1 and 2. Yeah.
Cole is 1
so
and 2.
So are you talking about Justin or Cole?
Cole.
Yeah, he's 1 and 2.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. And again, not that Infamous is a bad game. I just
No.
You could swap Cole out with anybody, and like it wouldn't change much for me. Like Cole's sort of a nobody. But like swinging through the streets of New York as Peter Parker in the first Spider-Man was like excellent because it nailed what it felt like to be like Spider-Man. And for the Guardians, they're a little bit lesser known, but they're just an actively dysfunctional family. And that's sort of all you need to know about them. They're just space people. I think the monsters are very nice and weird. It's pretty. It's colorful. It's bright. It's a comic book. It is like a comic book come to life.
Which is what the Avengers should have been.
Yeah, and you know, now I'm going to do a bit of research on like the Avengers. Like I said, I like the story of Kamala. I just don't. I think they kind of did her a disservice by wrapping her in the larger story of the main Avengers. Right. I think if she could have stood on her own and did something else, I think that would have been fine.
I think they should have waited for the movie to come out before they gave her again because nobody fucking knows who she was.
Nobody knows who she was.
You can turn around and try and make all the arguments you want. Nobody fucking knows who Miss Marvel is. Fucking nobody. No. Nobody cares. Yeah. Like comic fans don't even care. That's why her comics don't sell.
Yeah. And you know, like I said, for her, that Avengers story, I don't think served her well because that's not necessarily her story. She has a very specific sort of story that focuses on her that the Avengers didn't do because we were focused on the Avengers. And that to me like did a disservice. And the Avengers as a unit, that story just wasn't that interesting. It wasn't. The combat feels a little more weighty in Guardians, not that much. And again, largely because you're playing as Peter and he's shooting people. But I can go on and on about this game. I recommend it. I think I'm on like chapter 6 of I don't know how many chapters. But I highly recommend it. It's probably one of my favorite games of this year. And I say, just believe in me. I will never steer you wrong with games. Bugsnax. Hades. First of all, Bugsnax got new DLC coming out. Giant Bugsnax.
Okay, first of all, curb your fucking ego right there. Okay, first of all, Bugsnax, Yeah, go. First of all, fuck off. Well, I wouldn't say you got lucky, but first of all, niche. Second of all, Hades, motherfucker, that game was successful, and everyone was talking about that game long before you. This is like the first game.
It wasn't until Xbox got it on there. They were like, oh, this game's good. Like, I'm telling y'all that for forever.
This is the only game you could turn around and say you were completely right about. But I do actually want to ask this, because I will straight out say it first. You have actually sold me on this game. I am going to put this game on my wish list so I can remember to buy it in the future, but I am 100%. No, Hades I already own. No, Guardians. He has actually sold me on Guardians. Right?
Oh, I just bought it. I just fucking bought it. We're good.
Yeah, no, I've seen people.
Well, it's because you've got money, motherfucker.
Well, now that we lost FC, we got to go to Moneybags number 2, Jubei.
Yeah, Moneybags.
With $1,000 keyboards.
The $1,000 keyboards and the $2,000 fucking chat. But I think we should do this. I wouldn't mind if we don't have something. I feel like we should definitely do this. The cast recommends something. Or a game, like, and they try and, like, just, if it's a good game, can't be shit game. So it can't be Destiny 2. It can't be Destiny 2. You can't sell us on that.
Okay. Can I go first?
No. Because I feel like we should. Because honestly, I think we've hit our limit. But I do want to know, well, I already know Jubei has been sold, Nick, 'cause he literally just bought it. But Pharaoh, Omar, and I'm sold on this game. Has Zero sold you on this game, Pharaoh, Omar?
I was already. Go ahead, Pharaoh.
I am. It's a game that I'm willing to try. I mean, most of my issues with the game is that it just didn't show well from a gameplay perspective. I thought the story and everything, it looked really promising. So if they took care of the frame rate issues and things like that, I will definitely be looking forward to it.
Oh, we're convinced they showed footage. The first footage we saw. Zero came around to my understanding that I'm fucking certain they were showing the Switch version.
Yeah, it really didn't show well. And it sucks because even on, like, you go up and down Twitter, it's a pretty game. Like, it actually looks quite well. Even the character models, like, hold up pretty well.
So, what's the stigma then behind it not being well? Like, I know the game is amazing. Like, I've not played it, but I've seen many people that playing it and loving the fuck out of it. And yet, there is this stigma in the air that when you're talking about Guardians, they're like, yeah, Avenger 2.0 or something like that. Like,
and you're just listening to FC.
Yeah, well, and I think one is because it's not made by the exact same people, but like Square Enix did do both of them.
Yep.
And so like when you boot up the game, that big old Square Enix thing comes up. So if people are like, oh, the last Square Enix game that they made was Avengers, so this is just Avengers in space. It's gonna be trash.
And that
full of microtransactions.
Yeah, that stigma definitely comes from the fact that they fumbled one of the biggest goddamn properties of the 21st century as well.
Right.
Do you think this would have helped its case with the demo?
You know what? I'm actually just to say I would say it would personally.
Yeah. If you start honestly, yes. Because it's like the first mission. If you do like the Monster Queen thing, and you end the demo right around the time you meet her, I think that's a good introduction into like the Guardian. You will have gotten your first elemental power by then. You will have understood the team unification, and you will have understood like how each character does their own thing. And if you end it right at like, okay, here's the Queen, that would be a pretty solid demo.
And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, buy it.
Yeah, if you don't, if you don't.
Oh, there's a demo right now?
No. Would this have benefited to get away from the stigma of it just being Avengers 2.0?
Oh yeah, it definitely would have benefited from a demo.
Yeah, and because you would have got that taste of story and like what exactly is going on. Yeah,
I think it'll be in Game Pass by March.
It is the thing.
There it is, Game Pass.
I was sold on it, I just bought my new TV, so for the rest of the entire year, I'm broke. I'm
I
officially
get it.
broke.
Hey, listen, you know me. Square Enix nor Marvel are going to be hurting for money if we don't get Guardians day one. Like, get it.
I don't know. Square Enix might.
Well, then that's on them.
They might have to.
Alright.
They might have to delay Final Fantasy 16 by another 2 fucking years.
If they don't reach
Dude,
that
if
Final
on the
Fantasy
look of
14
it,
wallet,
they're more focusing on Underwalker than 16. Like, what the hell?
you know, whenever they want to like make extra cash, they just release that Final Fantasy remake 2, and we good. And you gonna
Oh
be
yeah,
back to
of
black
course,
again.
of course. 2 and 3, and we're
Okay.
golden.
Now, speaking of releases, I think we should release ourselves from this podcast. So, first of all, let's get to the outros. Jubei, where can the people find you and get your hands?
Well, you can find me now. Probably about to play Guardians of the Galaxy because Zero was very persuasive. And I will be dipping my toes back in the Moonglow Bay also. This week. So single player experiences for the week, and I'll call it good.
Alright, Omar, where can people find you?
People can find me waiting on my freaking TV. On Twitter. And on my YouTube channel, Gameplayer, last week, 2 days ago, we had a fantastic showcase. We had Chris Wright on it, and the week before, Jay Vary. And this week, maybe I will have Mush on, or maybe I will have someone else on. But other than that, yeah. Great show.
Pharaoh, where can people find you, man?
You can find me on Twitter at Pharaoh Bizarre. I stream at Twitch at Land of Pharaoh. You can search Pharaoh Bizarre on YouTube. I'll be there. Pharaoh Bizarre on Facebook. I'm there. And yeah, that's me.
Alright, you can find me at Dante Crisis on Instagram, Twitter, and the Dante Crisis on Facebook. Dante Crisis on Twitter, on Twitch, YouTube, and D Live. You can find my Patreon, Dante Crisis. I'm sure it'll be fucking somewhere. You can also find me on your girlfriend's contact list as well. Zero, where can people find you? And more importantly, where can they find us, sir?
Guys, well, you can find me at 0x386 pretty much everywhere. That is also apparently that's my gamer tag, so like that's public. Make your gamer tag public. That's what I got from Twitter this week. And of course, you can find us pretty much anywhere major podcasts are I was about to say are sold. But yes, anywhere where major podcasts are sold, we will be there. Please comment, like, subscribe. Send a message, send a raven, an owl, pigeon, post office express, anything, DM us.
No FedEx. No FedEx.
Tell us your life, tell us your likes, your dreams, aspirations, just anything. Like we'll be here for you all the times. So please check us out. Vitamin G.
Yep, and remember, ladies and gentlemen, keep it gaming. Alright, we out of here. Peace.
Later.
I'm on the outside looking in, and I wanna be back on the inside. I don't wanna be left on the outside, all alone. All alone.
Rockin' with beats, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beats, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G. You rockin' with beats, discussing the heat in the streets. Take over the west and the east. I got what you need, a dose of this vitamin G.